We're now joined by Monroe County Director of Schools, Dr. DeAnna McClendon, over the phone. And Dr. McClendon, as we start the interview today, I first want to ask, how are you and your family doing through all of this virus and sickness going around?
Good afternoon. We are doing well. We fortunately, my children love having me be at home a little bit more. I don't know about me doing the instruction. I'm understanding I might be sort of a tough teacher. And so they might like their teachers at school a lot better than they like the instruction they're receiving from me at home. I am fortunate in that I am, for essential meetings and essential events, able to commute probably less than a mile from my home to my actual office. And so I've been using a hybrid approach, working lots from home, but even going into the office to take care of essential functions or day-to-day operations that are happening there at the central office. And so we're doing great. I have an elderly father. My father is over 75, and so I always want to be conscious and cognizant of coming in and out of our home and bringing something back here to him, which I know that's everyone's fear in the community. So we're doing great, and we're hanging in there and trying to be as supportive for one another as we can be.
Of course, this virus has taken our country, our state, local level, kind of caught everybody off guard. And, of course, there's a lot of interest about children and education and schools being out. So we wanted to talk to you and get your perspective. Just walk us through the initial decision to close school because of this virus. You made that decision on March the 16th to then close the following week, and now that's been pushed back from the governor to April the 24th across the state. But just talk about the initial decision to close and the difficulty that decision was to make.
So we were in a unique situation because some of our nearing counties, such as Loudoun, they were actually on spring break in that upcoming week. And so they didn't really have a decision they had to make. The state, as everyone knows, we go a little bit of extra time to stockpile days for inclement weather. You get about 10 days. And so we're in a unique situation also in that we are probably the fifth or sixth largest county land-wise, meaning we go from the mountains to almost in Monroe up into Greenback and Maryville, Loudoun County. Mm-hmm. And so when we make decisions about inclement weather, because we are so large, there are a lot of factors. So we were out initially a day or two for snow, and the road conditions were not optimum to put children on buses. And we always want to err on the side of caution with that. And then we had lots of flooding, and we had decisions to make because we had roads that were washed away. And so the rule of thumb is if it's above halfway on the tire on the bus, you're not to take the buses in those areas. And so you have to think through, if you have hundreds and hundreds of children missing, then your average daily attendance is affected. Mm-hmm. So we had probably about 9 days before all of the virus situation hit that we had already used. So we had 1 day. So other districts were in a position that they had more days, or they were on spring break, and they very quickly could make that call. We had to look at things a little bit more carefully, because had we just immediately closed school, then if it hadn't gotten to this point, our students and families would have had probably a week after school was out to make up. And that never looks good either on your actual attendance. One of the things that we were very grateful for, and we reached out to the state early, was for some guidance on what should we do. This is getting bad. Mm-hmm. We know we only have one inclement weather day. What should sort of be our next steps? But at that time, if we had known that the direction we had been given from the State Department of Ed was that if we had no clinically diagnosed cases of the virus, then we were to continue to operate as normal. Or, as a local decision, we could use our stockpiled or inclement weather days. And we didn't have any inclement weather days besides at one that we could use. And so we were just following the guidelines and things that were given to us by the state. Fortunately, very early, I think they started to get more reports as the weekend went on. And then we did hear from the governor that Monday morning that he was going to go ahead and urge everyone to close schools. And so that's what we did.
That's Dr. McClendon, Director of Monroe County Schools, with us here on a radio update. And Dr. McClendon, now, as we mentioned, the governor made a decision April 24th, closing schools across the state. From everything that you're hearing, if that date is pushed again, how likely is that to encompass the rest of the school year?
Well, I think if we're looking at our neighboring states, I know that I've been, as everyone has, watching the news and looking online and researching what is going on in other counties in other states. And so I know Georgia made the decision yesterday afternoon to suspend school for the rest of the year except for online. And so I think that if we don't soon get a firmer grasp on the epidemic, then I think that we probably will be in a very similar situation. And it's unfortunate because I think that our children and our parents are in a unique position to be thinking through, how do I instruct my child? Or some of our families actually have essential jobs and they're still working. And I know even for myself, if I'm working, it's sort of hard to give the instruction that I feel that my girls need. So I think that we may be looking very soon, if this thing doesn't turn around, in that we probably will be suspending our school year as well.
With the likely decrease of local sales tax revenue coming with all this as well, obviously that's going to affect money coming into the school system. Are you in communication with the state and even the federal level about assistance with that gap in revenue that you might get?
So there have been some preliminary conversations, and our state board actually is going to be meeting on April 7th to make several decisions concerning what the end of the school year will look like. I do know that the federal government has put out some guidelines to each state about the enumeration each state will be receiving from the stimulus package. And so we'll be waiting to hear from our Commissioner of Education and our governor what that will mean for local districts. And then there's been some preliminary conversations about what this funding will actually be permitted to be used for, or what will be allowable with this funding. So we're taking that minute by minute. It's very fluid because we've not been given that governance yet as to what we'll be getting or what we'll be eligible to apply for, and then what will be allowable.
That's Monroe County Director of Schools, Dr. McClendon, with us. Dr. McClendon, the final question I'll ask you today that I know a lot of our listeners are interested in, especially if they have a child that's a senior this year. If students do not go back this year, what are your thoughts on graduation ceremonies, proms, all those big events that seniors look forward to? What are your thoughts on those being scheduled for later on into the summer?
So that's one of the things the principals and I talked about very early on. And so those prom events have actually been rebooked for later in May. And then again, some of them have secondary dates for June. And so I've had some of the sweetest emails from girls that say, I brought my prom dress, I work and paid for my prom dress on my own. And so I really want to make sure we have prom. Is there anything that you could do to ensure we have prom? And so to the fullest extent, I think everybody wants to make sure those are kind of culminating activities you have in life, your
Right.
prom, your senior prom, your graduation. I'm not opposed. I was looking online and I saw that the Arlington Special School District, their teachers actually had a parade. I am not opposed to us having some sort of ceremony for our children where maybe it's a drive-through graduation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but I think that we have to, in some way, in a ceremony, mark graduation. If this thing turns around, which I am praying and hoping for every day, then, of course, we will do whatever we can to make sure that they have some sort of a ceremony.
That's Monroe County Director of Schools, Dr. McClendon. And Dr. McClendon, as we end here, for folks who may be listening to this on social media or on the radio, is there anything you just want to share with Monroe County students and families out there right now?
Yes, I want to just say that we're here. I think that I don't want anyone to feel that we've closed our doors and the school has gone away, because the school is so much a part of anchoring a community. Make sure to call and email. Your teachers are going to be calling. Tell them what you need, either if it's instructionally, if it's food-wise, if it's just someone that you need to talk to and interface with just for your own mental health. Please feel free. That's why we're here. Make sure that you let us know if there's anything that we've done. So we're not gone. We're still here, and we are still here to support you and your family in whatever way that is needed. I want to just really want people to know that. And I hope to see them all very, very soon. I miss seeing the kids and the faculty and staff at each school.
Dr. McClendon, we thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for your time today, spending a few minutes with us.
All right. You're welcome.